Coast. It started on a Sunday. By Thursday, she had almost given the dog away. By Friday morning, she understood why that would have been the worst decision she ever made. Coast. The crying was not unusual. Jonah was 6 months old, and 6-month-olds cry. Priya Mehta Collins was a neonatal nurse, 10 years in NICU, and she had witnessed more infant distress than most people see in a lifetime. She had a high threshold for alarm. Coast. She also had a high threshold for things that didn't fit the clinical pattern. What Kira was doing did not fit the clinical pattern. Coast. Kira was a 3-year-old Siberian Husky, gray and white, 52 pounds, with mismatched eyes. One pale blue, one amber. That gave her an expression people sometimes described as unsettling. She had been with Priya since before Jonah, trained, well-exercised, reliably calm in the house. Coast. On Sunday, when Jonah began his late morning cry, Kira crossed the room and pressed her muzzle directly against the infant's cheek. Not nuzzling. Coast. Not licking. She held it there, completely still, for approximately 8 seconds, and then she stepped back and made a sound in the back of her throat. Not a bark, not a whine, something lower and more deliberate, and looked at Priya. Priya removed Kira from the baby's space and settled Jonah. Coast. 40 minutes later, Jonah cried again. Kira did the same thing. The muzzle against the cheek, the stillness, the throat sound. The look, by Monday afternoon it had happened 9 times. By Tuesday evening, Priya's partner Roshan had watched it happen twice and said what she had been thinking since the second incident. Coast. It's fixation behavior, he said. She's obsessed with him. Priya was already on the phone with her neighbor who had a husky as well, and her neighbor confirmed it. Fixation on an infant was a known precursor to resource guarding incidents. She had worked with enough anxious new dog families to say it with authority. Coast. Priya did not argue. She had seen the same behavioral literature. She knew it was the responsible call. They moved Kira to the back bedroom on Wednesday morning. She sat by the closed door without making a sound, which was in its own way more difficult to watch than barking would have been. Coast. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you are in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Coast. Jonah's cry at 2 in the afternoon was the same cry. Priya went to him and picked him up and felt something that bypassed her training entirely. A bodily knowledge. The kind that NICU nursing builds into you across a decade. That something was wrong in a way she had not yet named. Coast. She put her hand against Jonah's chest. His breathing was fine, slightly fast. She checked his temperature. 99.4. She looked at his color. His color was normal. Coast. She listened to his lungs through her stethoscope, the one she had bought in her first year of training and kept in the bedroom nightstand, because she was that kind of mother. Left lower lobe. A faint wet sound that had no business being there. Coast. She called the pediatrician from the driveway while buckling Jonah into the car seat. Has your dog ever done something that looked wrong until it became the only right thing? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Coast. Jonah had early-stage pneumonia, a bacterial infection that had been developing quietly for 5 to 7 days. The attending physician, Dr. Samuel Achinpong, estimated. Coast. At 6 months of age, with an underdeveloped immune system, the window for effective outpatient antibiotic treatment was narrower than in older children. Another 18 to 24 hours without intervention, and they would have been looking at hospitalization. Coast. The chest radiograph showed the consolidation clearly. Dr. Achinpong pointed to it and said, "This is already significant. What made you come in when you did and not wait the usual 24 hours? Coast. Priya sat in the exam chair with Jonah against her chest, and she thought about a closed bedroom door and a gray and white husky sitting against it without making a sound, because she had been removed from the infant she was monitoring. Coast. Bacterial pneumonia, as it progresses, alters the biochemical composition of exhaled breath. The infection produces a measurable increase in hydrogen cyanide and specific aromatic compounds in the respiratory output. Coast. A dog's olfactory detection threshold for these compounds is orders of magnitude below human sensory capacity. Kira had been pressing her muzzle to Jonah's face and breathing in. She was reading a chemical signature that Priya's stethoscope had not caught until the infection was already well established. Coast. Every head press against his cheek was a reading. Every throat sound was a report. Every look at Priya was a request that looked from where Priya stood, exactly like resource fixation. Coast. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never ask for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Coast. Kira came out of the back bedroom that evening. She walked directly to the infant carrier, lowered her face, held still for a moment, a shorter breath this time, a different information, and then she went to her water bowl and drank and lay down on her mat. Coast. Priya sat on the kitchen floor and watched her, and did not say anything for a long time. The next story involves a dog who dragged a toddler backward across the living room. His parents called a trainer. The trainer arrived on Thursday. On Wednesday night, they understood what the dog had known all along. Coast. Jonah slept well that night, better than he had in a week. Kira slept in the hallway outside his door, which was not where she normally slept, and Priya let her.